Did you know that the census is due this year on April 1st? And guess what? This time we can finally count as Caribbean. This year, all you have to do is 1. Check the race box, and 2. Write in your country of birth or ancestry. You can answer by the paper form, online, or by phone. Everybody counts in Census 2020. So count as Caribbean. Yes, we count.
As you come, guys, share the thing, share the thing, share the thing. It's Wednesday's Hump Day. Welcome to Hump Day on the Ride. I hope you guys are chill. New word, eh? New word. A lot of people using it these days. Hope you guys are chill and in the vibe. Welcome to Ride Along Live for today, Wednesday. And today we have a very, very important show for you, right? Today we're going to bring a guest that we previously had on Ride Along about a year and so ago. But he have some updates. And a touching story that, man, even if you're hearing it for the second time with the new details, still brings chills. Share the program, guys. Share the program. The key word is I share. I want you guys to be a part of this program here today. Our guest, Ezzy, good friend of the ride, back on the program to share his story. Blow your mind, guys. Trust me. Share the thing, share the thing, share the thing, and say I share. The key word is I share. As you share, I want you to say, I share, so I can big you up, right? That's the key word. I share. Yeah. As you share, let me do it as well. As you share, I want you to say, I share. As you share, I want you to say, I share. Clive, how you doing? Big up yourself, big up yourself. Clive Mclaren, big up yourself. Clive, how you doing? How you doing? Big up yourself. Deanne Fraser, how you doing, Deanne Fraser? Big up, big up, big up, big up, big up, big up. Tracy Ann, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much, Tracy Ann. Sharing is caring, guys. That's what they say. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. And that's actually true. Who else we have? Who else we have? Who else we have? Good evening, everyone. Coming to you from Jacquio. Thank you so much. Tatiana, big up yourself. Thank you for the share. Thank you for the share, guys. You could also start a watch party. You can share. You can also start a watch party. Natasha Charles, big up yourself, Natasha Charles. I see you. I see you. I see you. Thank you so much. Wendy Brave Boy. Thank you so much, Wendy. Sharing is caring. Wendy Brave Boy, thank you so much. Lacey J, I reach. Lacey J is in the building, guys. Lacey J, thank you so much for joining us today. Spice Baffy, good evening to your family. Thank you so much. We welcome everyone. Who else? Who else, guys? Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. Who else we have? Lydia James. Lydia James. How you doing, Lydia James? Howdy, Lydia. How is it over there in Canada? Hope everything is well. Hope you guys taking precaution as well. I want to tell you guys about this. Now, we actually created the Ride Along family page. I know a lot of people have, whether they want to watch it on Facebook or not or whatever. So you can watch all of our programs on our new webpage, ridealongfamily.live. Ridealongfamily.live. That's our new webpage. Right, so you could go on there and watch us live there. Ridealongfamily.live. Right? Don't forget it. Ridealongfamily.live. That's it. Thank you so much. Wendy, you're my favorite person for today. Today, Junior, how you look young so? I eat young enough. You know that that new thing that they start to put in stores? Young enough. Hey, my other favorite person, Lois JJ. Big up yourself. Thank you so much, producer of the program. Camille Antoine, say that I have a brother named Junior. Ah, okay, probably that's me. Quite possibly that's me. Godwin Mackenzie, thank you so much for sharing, guys. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. Also, don't forget, guys, you can watch Ride Along Live on our new webpage. It's ridealongfamily.live. That's ridealongfamily.live. All right? Everybody over there, just checking in the program. Big up yourself to the people over there in ridealongfamily.live. And all the folks on YouTube as well, thank you so much for checking us out over there on YouTube. All right? So Mika Docent, Dasent, sorry, Nika Dasent, thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate you 100%. Who else sharing? Who else sharing? Tatisa Bishop, thank you so much. Who else sharing? I want to see the people that's sharing. I want to see the people that's sharing. If you're sharing, I want you to say I share. If you are sharing, I want you to say I share. All right? I was sharing and inviting. Deanne Fraser, always sharing and always inviting. We always appreciate you, Deanne Fraser. Um, yeah. Big up the Rasta in Union Pasture. Everybody there in Union Pasture. That's my area. That's my area. That's my area. Who else sharing? We have Vintress. Vintress. Big up yourself. Thank you for sharing, Vintress. Guys, everybody else that's sharing, keep sharing. Everybody who inviting, keep inviting. Everybody who's starting a watch party, keep doing all your thing. Because as I said earlier, today's program is really touching, right? I want to introduce a friend of mine. He's actually a friend of Ridealong. He's a friend of the family. He's been on the program before, about a year or so ago. But I wanted to bring him back on the ride because he definitely have a story to tell, an updated story to tell. Guys, help me welcome Ride Along Live. Ezzy, how you doing, Mr. Isaac D. Joseph?
Hey, you guys, what's going on? What's going on out there?
We're good, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. I see Lucy just say, how you sniffling so? Is the is the dust that happening around Gracie? Don't get scared. For the time anybody hear you sniffling these days, everybody think that is something, eh? But no, I am all good. It's just the dust. So, Ezzy, how you been, man?
I have never been better. I tell you, these last 2 years of my life have been a blessing. They've been a blessing, but they also took a turn for the worse. And I am back here to share that story with you.
Yes, yes, yes. We want to hear all of it. And I was telling people earlier, for those who follow the program from years ago, they would remember your face on the program, right? But I want to go back and update everyone about your story, where it all started for you. Tell us about your life growing up as a child, Ezzy, and where exactly you grew up, and a little bit more about yourself.
Well, as you guys know, I'm Isaac Joseph. Everybody calls me Izzy, so you can too. Um, I am a Houston, Texas native here in the United States. Um, from Texas. Grew up in the Harlem Clark area out there. Shout out to Harlem Clark. Yeah, I grew up in a very religious household. My father's a minister. My grandmother, if you ask me, she is a saint. Um, I pretty much had the typical childhood. I didn't want for anything. I didn't. I was very privileged. I will say that I was very privileged. But growing up as a black gay male in a religious household does present its challenges. So the challenges did come, and I just rode the wave and took things as they came. And now I'm here today.
Yeah. So you said as a young black gay male, um, and I remember we spoke about a year ago, and you was talking about from the time you was very young, you always felt or you always knew that you were gay. Explain that to us.
Well, you know, I wouldn't say that I always knew. As a child, we really don't know these things. We don't know the difference between gay and straight. We do know that we're a boy and that's a girl, but we don't really know these things. But what I did know was that the attraction that other boys had towards girls and females, I didn't have that attraction. Um, as far as when a male student was looking at his female teacher. I wasn't doing that. In my head, I want to know where did she get those shoes from? Those are some nice shoes. Or, but I didn't have the same attraction that all the other males around me was having. Um, so I knew, hey, I was different then. Um, it wasn't until I was actually in middle school that I was actually able to put a label on it. And it wasn't me who put the label on it. It was other kids and other people who put the label on it because still then I really didn't know what it was or what it was about.
Right. So what did you thought it was?
I just, to be honest, I thought that, you know, it was normal. I thought that, and don't get me wrong, because I want to put it out there, it's totally fine. It's totally normal. I know some people have different beliefs, but I refuse to believe that a child is born imperfect. It was normal to me. I just didn't like what the other boys like. I mean, I knew that there were some girls who didn't like boys the way that other girls like boys. And I mean, it was just normal for me, you know? So I really didn't have a label for it. I really didn't have a label for myself.
Right, right. So that early growing up, going to school, how were you treated and how was school days? Did your classmate find you acting different and how was that?
You know what? Growing up, I was the social butterfly. I can't sit here and say that I had a bad time growing up. Yeah, you got bullies and people who try to pick on you and all that stuff. But where I come from, you don't get picked on. You don't get picked on in my family. You fight back, know. So you got people who always try to do those things. But growing up, I was a social butterfly. I was in band. I danced. I was in choir. I played instruments. Um, I had a pretty good childhood growing up. Um, the battle really started when I started to discover who I was as a person, and that's when things got complicated.
Mm-hmm. I know growing up at that age too, right? Sometimes parents, from the minute that they see anything that's a little bit different, they kind of, shocked or apprehensive or don't know how to deal with it. How did your parents deal with it?
Not well.
Uh,
And in all honesty, I don't think that it was dealt with well. I think that they did feel some type of shame or embarrassment because I am one of three boys. I have two older sisters and and two other brothers.
mhm.
And I am one of three boys, and I am second to the youngest. So it wasn't taken very well. And I have to understand, my parents grew up in a different time. And in that time, being gay wasn't appropriate. Especially being that we was in a religious household. We know what the Bible says against homosexuality.
Mhm.
So it wasn't right. It was immoral. So I do think it presented them their challenges and them with challenges. Things are a lot better than what they used to be now. You know.
Yeah, guys, if you just came in, we're talking live with Ezzy. We're capping a little bit about his story, but he has some major updates that we're gonna touch on briefly. Um, but let's go back a little bit, keep on that same vein as it relates to your parents and the interaction and father. Sometimes they take it the hardest. How did your father dealt with you being a little bit different?
Um, I think he took it actually the hardest. I mean, I was one of his boys. It was no. I'm put it like this. It was no secret.
Right.
I was always the oddball. I was always the one that was slightly more feminine. The things that I was interested in wasn't really typical. What they say, this is what boys are supposed to be interested in. I wasn't into those things. I wasn't a sports player. Um, I have no hand-eye coordination, so I can't play basketball. I tried to play football, and I don't like being hit. So when somebody hit me, I have the tendency to hit back. So um, it just wasn't for me. And I think he probably did have a hard time at first accepting that one of his sons was gay.
Right, right. You know, sometimes going to school is some of the hardest times. And I remember while I was in Wingate, I think, going to school here in New York, there was this one person that, well, they didn't identify it as gay. He was just, everyone was just saying that he was a bit different. And the ridicule that that person got for just being a little bit different. He didn't have the regular friends. Everybody picked on him. Every time you saw him, he was all walking by himself, hanging by himself, and with a bunch of other girls. Did that play any major role in how school was for you, like high school or college or anyone, any part of that time of your life?
Honestly, I have to say no, and it breaks my heart. Today when I hear about young gay kids, young queer kids who go to school and they're bullied, they're picked on to the point that they want to take their lives or come back to the school and take other people's lives. It really, really breaks my heart because that wasn't the experience that
Right.
I had. Um, Especially not with females. Every female wants a gay best friend. They call us the GBF. Every female wants a gay best friend, and
Hmm.
every female probably has a gay best friend. So it wasn't really that tough. And when it came down to running with the boys, um, I wasn't that one to be bullied or picked on. You wasn't going to do that to me. I was going to always stand up for myself. But honestly and truly, I had so many friends that if someone would have tried to bully or pick on me, I got a whole army behind me. So I really didn't experience those things. Now, yeah, of course, I had those ones that did try me that you know wanted to call me names and really try to go in and talk about me. I've been called a punk. I've been called faggot. I've been called a whole bunch of other names that I'm not gonna say. But I've been called everything but the child of God.
Right.
So of course, you have those moments and you have that time in your life, but I really didn't. When I was in college, I was a cheerleader. I was a popular cheerleader on top of that. So in college, it was probably the best because I had nothing but straight male friends who loved me,
Right.
called me. They would say I'm little sister. That was the little joke that we had, and they loved me to death, and they would fight anybody who tried to challenge me.
So that part of your life was pretty normal. When did things actually change for you?
Well, I wouldn't say that whole part of my life was pretty normal because, as I said, growing up gay and black in a religious household, it's not an easy thing. At one point in time, I was really, really struggling with my identity. I felt like my parents didn't love me, my siblings didn't understand me. I had no one in my corner, so I really looked to my friends. And the friends that I had at that time was not the friends I should have been looking for because all we ever did was get in trouble. I ran in the gang. We fought, we stole, we did drugs, and that's really when things started to take hold. The first time I ever did a drug, um, that's when things really started to change.
Hmm. What was the what was the experience like? Was it a
Well,
bully? Were you bullied into getting in or doing things against your will? How was that?
no, I've always been that person I'm not a person that does peer pressure. You can't make me do something that I didn't want to do. What happened actually was I was obsessed with the early 70s, the disco era,
Hmm.
late 80s. I was obsessed with it. I loved everything about it. I loved the fact that people were able to be themselves and live free and be happy and sing and dance. And just have fun. And in the early 80s, mid to late 80s, there were a group of kids they called the Club Kids.
Right.
I love the Club Kids. They wore costumes. They went to fabulous parties. With the drag queens and just party animals, and they just had fun. And I seen that, and I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to have my Club Kid moment. So first time I was ever around a group of people who I felt like me and knew what I was going through and knew what it was. I was able to be free and be myself. So I finally said, I want to try something. I honestly I wanted to try the drug. I Cocaine seemed to be the thing that all the party monsters was doing. Hey y'all, I need y'all to be quiet. I'm doing something. I'm sorry, when you got kids.
Yeah, yeah.
When you just having fun and cocaine was just there. And I wanted to try it. And what I always tell people, I fell in love at the very first snort.
Hmm. Hmm. You spoke about the last time about the time what had happened to you. So that's pre-HIV. Well, we didn't even touch the fact that you are living your life right now HIV positive. Talk about pre-HIV and how did you contract HIV in the process of your lifestyle?
Well, pre HIV, I was just a party animal. Like I said, I wanted to live my club kid fantasy. So I just went to fabulous parties. I went to clubs and parties and all these things and just had fun and gotten high. It got to a point that now I know I was an active addict. When it got to that point of me being a addict, um, things started to change. I started selling my body for drugs. I started selling drugs. I fell into the world of escorting as a way to make money to supply me drugs, as well as a way to get drugs from other people.
Hmm.
So I fell into that lifestyle, and honestly, that lifestyle led me to going to a party one night, just once, like I say, living my club kid fantasy, having fun. And it led me to getting a little bit too inebriated and trusting someone to walk me to the train station that had other motives. And that person eventually that night ended up beating me up and raping me that same night. And I contracted HIV from there.
Wow. Was that person ever prosecuted? Did you ever went through the process of
No, you
what?
know, go ahead.
No, no, no. I'm concerned about that part of it because a lot of times when a gay person, and I've heard this story on the program before, whenever something is reported along those lines, it's always sometimes people would say, well, he probably was asking for it. He put himself out there for it.
Yeah,
So,
you know,
go ahead.
well, that's exactly what happened. I tried the same night that it happened. I tried to report it to the police, and they gave me a blue warrant. Not a blue warrant, but what do they call it? A blue case. And the blue case is pretty much a domestic violence case, and they said it was probably just a scuffle between me and my boyfriend.
Hmm.
And they really didn't take anything that I was saying like, no, this is what happened. This is what's up. So they really didn't do anything about it, and that really shook me because I was like, well, I tried to do the right thing, and report it, and this person is still out there. I wonder how many other people has he ever done this to, and gotten away with it. But hey, I lived it. I've made it past it, and it's in the past where
How
it
did you
is.
find out? How did you find out that you contracted the HIV?
Well, for 2 years, I had I had been very, very sick, and I couldn't figure out why. Um, after the whole rape incident, I got very, very sick. And I couldn't figure out exactly what was wrong. I had went to the doctor several times. I never asked for an HIV test, so they couldn't tell me what was wrong. I was put on antibiotics for this and that. They tested me for all these different things. I think the one thing that did come back at the time was me being positive for gonorrhea. And that was something. So um, it was a lot. Finally, I was actually leaving work. I was a dance teacher at the time, and I could barely make it through the class. I ended up going home, and when I got home, I just collapsed and fell in the bed, and something told me to get up, go to the ER, and I went to the ER, asked them for an HIV test there, and they gave me one, and I came back, and it came back positive.
Hmm. So it was how much years? How long before you actually took the test from the time that you was raped?
It was almost 2 years. I want to say about a year and
Huh.
a year and 7 months. I was diagnosed in October of 2014, so about a year and 7 months.
Wow. Wow. Guys, again, if you're just joining, we're talking here with Ezzy, and he shared part of his story before on the program about a year ago. Isaac Joseph, he shared his story before, but there has been some major uptake because we follow our guests. No matter if you've been on the program 3 years ago when we started, you are part of the family. So we wanted to get you back here to give us an update on your particular story. And so far, we've learned that, growing up, he always felt a little bit different as a child. He always felt like, he just different than everybody else. He didn't like the same thing as the other boys. And his family, his mother, his father took notice. It wasn't the best or the easiest lifestyle, but they ended up coping with it. Like, school was not that bad for him. But at that age, when life was just starting to pick up, when he's living all that lifestyle, he thought he was raped, right? And 2 years later, he was diagnosed with HIV. That's where we are right now, just so you guys, if you're following the story. So Ezzy, you were raped, you were diagnosed. You're standing there in front of the medics or whoever tested you. How did they bring the news to you, and how did you accept it?
Well, how did they break the news to me? That's a good question because I really don't remember. I remember the doctor coming into the room and telling me that they ran the HIV test, um, and that it was positive. And then after she said it was positive, I blacked out. I My mind left, everything around me left. I don't know if you guys know Charlie Brown, but the teacher that's on Charlie Brown when she's teaching the class and all you hear is womp 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 womp.
Hmm.
That's exactly what I heard from the doctor. After that, my ears picked back up when she told me that she hit me with a double whammy. Not only was she telling me I was HIV positive, she was also telling me that my CD4 levels, which is the white blood count, which is the white cell blood count,
Hmm.
was so low that not only was I HIV positive, but she was diagnosing me with AIDS.
Hmm.
If you know, AIDS is the final stage
Yeah.
of the HIV
So
virus.
it's been 2 years.
So
Before we go on there, Lydia asking a very important question. So within that 2 years time frame, you possibly could have been transmitting it and you didn't even know.
well, during that time, after the rape, rape does something to you. Um, I just, I just didn't want to be with anybody. No one could touch me sexually. I actually had a boyfriend at the time. We had been together for about uh we had been together roughly about a year, 2.5 years at that time, and I wouldn't even let him touch me. I wouldn't sleep with anyone. I didn't have sex with anyone. I just couldn't bring myself to it because every single moment, that PTSD is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Someone will walk up behind me or try to hug me. I get images and I get those flashbacks, and I still have them today.
Right.
I still have them today. I get those images, and I just couldn't bring myself to sleep with someone. Now, was it Lydia? Yes, she was right. I
Yeah.
could have spread it to somebody. The person that I was more concerned about spreading it to was my then boyfriend, because of course I tried my best to maintain that relationship. So there were times that we did have sex, and you know I was just doing it to just to please him. It wasn't something, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It could have been done that way, Lydia, but thank God that it wasn't.
Mm. Right. Okay. Right. So moving on. Moving on. He wasn't HIV positive. You found out. And how was life after that? Did it change you as a person? Did you look at life differently? Did you become very concerned about your time that you have on earth? What was going through your mind at those times?
Well, the first thing that I said after the doctor left was, I need to call my drug dealer because I need to get high. That was my response to it. I don't want to feel the pain that what I'm feeling right now. So I just need to get high. That's how I coped. Excuse me. That's how I coped with being raped. And not only that's how I coped with pretty much every hardship in my life. Let's just get high. Um, I thought about I thought about me dying. I thought about me having to tell people, tell my family, and those are things that I just didn't want to do. I didn't. That was something I just wasn't ready to face. So for the next 3 days, I was in the hospital. I sat there. The person that I sold bought drugs from brought me drugs up there, and that's how I coped with it at the time. But yeah, it changes you. Being told that you have a chronic illness and that chronic illness has a timestamp placed to it, it really does. It does something to your mind. It does something to you.
Yeah. The hold on, just get it. One of my lights just went off there. I was just trying to fix it. This one. Yeah, and you said it there right? Because I remember speaking to someone. I can't remember who it was on the program, and immediately they just felt like I have nothing else to live for. This is like the pitch.
Yeah.
This is the end. I have not. I don't. I don't feel like I even want to live no more. So I'm just gonna just go and just do crazy stuff. Just put myself out there. Or some people
Yeah.
just they just do things to the extreme. Was that you in any one of those scenarios?
Yes. It was me. I actually just wrote an article on Medium.com with Invisible Illness talking about the process of depression that
Yeah.
I went through after I was diagnosed with HIV. Um, you know, it was already hard enough coping with the rape. Now you're telling me that I have HIV, and not only are you telling me that I have HIV, you're also telling me that my blood count is so low that you're diagnosing me with AIDS. And now you're telling me that if I don't get treatment, I have 6 months to a year to live. I like to call that despondency and dejection. The
Hmm.
feeling that's the feeling that you get. You get very despondent, and then you deject. You detach yourself from the world, and I pretty much said, hey, treatment may work, treatment may not work. I don't care to find out. So I just I just coped the best way that I could. Drugs was the go to. Now, then after finding out I was HIV positive, which is something, this is probably something I'm not proud of. After I found that I was HIV positive, I did become very promiscuous, and I was having a lot of unprotected sex with people because in my head, I wanted everyone to feel the hurt that I was feeling. Every guy, and it really wasn't random people. It was pretty much guys that I had had sex with that I didn't, that I just felt like, I wanted them to feel my pain.
Mm.
And no, that's not the appropriate response. But it's a response that a lot of us have. Um, and I kind of felt in my head, I justified it by saying that if someone meets you in a hotel room to have unprotected sex, they're looking to catch something. That's what I would say. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but that's still not the right thing. That's not the right response. That's very, very wrong of me. Um, and I struggled with that. I struggled with knowing the fact that I was sleeping around with people. I was HIV positive. So I just coped. I got very depressed, and drugs seemed to be the trick. It seemed to
Did
be
you
the
ever tell
easy
them? Did you
fix.
ever come out and tell them that you were HIV positive?
Um, Three people for sure that I knew, that I did tell them that, you know what, I had a confession to make to them, and that I was HIV positive, and that when the time that we were having relations, I was HIV positive then, and I need you to go get tested. This was during the time that I um first started my journey to sobriety, the first time that I went to rehab, and I got to the point to where they said I needed to make amends to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I could just skip a couple of steps and just go straight and tell them. Um, my life was threatened. Um, I lost a friend that I really didn't want to lose because outside of the relationship, we were friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, things were difficult. So yeah, I did go and tell the ones that I actually, excuse me, I don't know why I'm yawning. I did go and tell the ones that I actually had a close relationship
Mm-hmm.
with, after the fact, that, you know what, this is what it was. And just go and get tested just to make sure you're okay.
Did anyone in your circle that you had relations with ever or contracted with HIV?
No, neither one of them did. They're all fine and healthy, and some are married, some are still living the life, but yeah, no one did.
Mm-hmm.
By the grace of God. That's all. That's what I always say. God has been covering me for a very, very long time, even when I didn't know it.
Right. Right. What did you think about? I mean, being promiscuous with HIV, possibly you was thinking that something could have happened, so they could have contracted it. It's just by, uh, as you said, the grace of God that it didn't. You
Yeah.
know, um, would that have bothered you if someone came back and told you, or someone contracted HIV and then contract somebody else? Would that have bothered you?
Yeah, honestly, it would have devastated me. I would have not known how to handle that. I would have, I already felt so much guilt for not being upfront and not telling people that I was sleeping with at the time that I was HIV positive. If someone would have came back and told me that they were HIV positive, I don't know how I would have responded. It wouldn't have been good. It wouldn't have been good at all.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. I want to move on a little bit to the addiction, the drug addiction, and that seemed to be your escape. That the drug seemed to be your escape after the depression and after the heartache and just life not going well for you. Um, Talk to us about what was how did you cope with having the drug there, and what drug did you use to ease your mind and to just get you feeling better at the start or the beginning of the day?
So I'm that guy. I try everything at least once.
Uh,
I've tried a lot of different drugs except heroin. But cocaine seems to be the one that stuck. Cocaine seems to be the one. Powder cocaine seems to be the one that's stuck with me. And I started snorting cocaine when I was about 15. When I was about 15, and I didn't know that I was becoming an addict. But by the time that I was 19, I was a full blown addict. I couldn't wake up without going get a hit of coke. I needed it. I was spending obscene amount of monies, $1,200 to $2,000 a week on cocaine.
mm,
So yeah, and I was in the escorting business and all that stuff. So the funds didn't stop. I had other jobs and I was selling weed and pills and all that stuff. So my addiction was pretty much funded.
mm,
Um, but it did take a hold of me. Um, there's something that's in the alcoholics big book that says that alcohol or drugs cease to become a luxury. They
mhm.
become a necessity. It had started to become a necessity to me, and I didn't know it had become a necessity. I thought I just needed it to have fun. I needed it to get my day going.
Was it
You know,
the second and third time? Because they say the first time you get a high like no other. And I'm just saying what they say because I've never tried it. And then the second, third, and each other time following up, you always try to get to that first high again. Was that you trying to
you
get
know,
that high the first high that you had?
you know. They call that chasing the dragon. And yes, that first high is a high like no other. And just to be clear, I am not advocating drug use,
Right. Oh, we're not
but
advocating drug use here either.
yes, but yes, I wouldn't say I was chasing it because there were plenty of times that I had a high better than the first high. My body just was accustomed to it. A drug is like a medicine. All medicines that we take are drugs in some form or fashion.
Hmm.
And some drugs are more addictive than others. And cocaine was like a medicine. Once it got into my body learned how to function with it. So, in order for me to get up in the morning, I had to have a snort of cocaine. That one was gonna get my pep in my step. What I learned about drug addiction is that stimulants like cocaine and uppers like cocaine and methamphetamine, what they do is they replace the dopamines inside of your brain.
Right.
The things that give you energy and make you feel good, they replace them. And after you've been doing drugs for so long, your brain no longer knows how to make dopamines because it's relying on the synthetic dopamine that
Right.
the cocaine was giving you. So that's why you have addicts. That's why people become addicts because it's not that we can't function with it's not that we can't function with it, we can't function without it
Mm.
because we need the dopamines. If you didn't have those dopamines, you wouldn't know when you're sad, you wouldn't know when you're happy, when you're angry, when you're frustrated. You wouldn't know those things. So my body just became accustomed to it.
So what if you got up?
Like
What if you got up in the middle of the day or in the morning and and you told yourself consciously, "I am not going to do drugs today. I don't feel. I just don't want to do it. It's damaging my body. It's not doing anything good for me." What then makes you gravitate you to doing it after you're consciously telling yourself that?
so, that's the demon of addiction. That's addiction. Even when I say I'm not doing this today, I'm not doing any drugs today. You know what addiction says? It says, "Oh, yes, you are." You
Wow.
know, the rehab center that I was lucky to be at for the last 4 months of my 4 months now. The rehab center that I was at, the Bay Area Recovery Center in Dickinson, Texas, they gave me a great outline of exactly what addiction is,
Mhm.
and it's a obsession that we have, and you think about that obsession like it's an obsession of the mind. I can tell myself over and over that I'm not going to do this.
Right.
That obsession kicks in, and that obsession turns into I'm going to do this. You know, it's that little voice inside our head that we just trying to shut up. You know, the best way to put it is to put it like this: if you're somebody who has a peanut allergy, you don't go and eat peanuts because you know what's going to happen. Well, I'm someone who has a cocaine allergy. I
Mm.
put cocaine in my body. I crave it. I want it. I need it. You
Mm.
know, even when I say I'm not going to do any cocaine today, my body needs it.
I
It
see.
was it, it's what makes you feel good. It's like I say, you become accustomed to it.
So, at what point did you tell yourself that you needed to be checked into a rehab, or did you consciously make that decision, or you were forced to go into the rehab?
So this is my third time. This will be my third time going to rehab. The first time I went to rehab was because I had got in trouble. I had got a DUI. Um, Everything was just in shambles. It was like I was losing everything. And a friend of mine told me that I needed to slow down. And I possibly thought, I said, well, you know what? Maybe I should go to rehab. That was the first time it didn't stick. The second time I went to rehab, I went because my parents said I needed to go get help.
Mm.
You know, that didn't stick. This time, I had what they like to call in Alcoholics Anonymous a psychic change. I got high, and when I got high, I had a vision,
Mm.
and that vision scared me to the point of it was life or death. You know, um, God showed me what my life was about to become, and I didn't want that for my life.
Hmm.
So I asked my higher power, which is the Lord, and which was my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, what should I do? And He gave me a map of what I needed to do. He told me I need to go to this place, get to this place, do what they need you to do here. They're gonna send you here. When you get to this place, I'll give you further instructions. So that's what I did. Um, I didn't know at the time I was surrendering my life to God.
Mm.
I was just doing what I felt that needed to be necessary because what I saw, what was given to me, was not what I wanted. It wasn't what I wanted at all.
Yeah. Guys, again, we're talking to Ezzy. Izzy. Very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff. And again, we're not advocating for anybody to go and try cocaine or any one of these things. This is his story. And what you would see, which is important, is that he went into rehab, and today he could come and share the story to ensure that people who probably going through the same thing could make choices and positive choices as he did. So let's talk about your first day in rehab, Ezzy. Your first day walking into rehab. What did you see? What was it like?
So my first day walking into this last rehab center that I was in, um, I was like it's like being the new kid on the first day of school. You go in, it's a whole bunch of people that's already there, and everybody's running up to you trying to tell you their story and tell you their spiel when you really just want to be left alone. Um, Being that I was waiting on further instructions, to know exactly what I'm doing here. I really didn't want to have any interaction with anyone. I really just wanted to read my Bible and you know and just do what the people were saying to do. Um, but that quickly changed. About a week into me being in rehab, um, I received those further instructions and I started actively working the 12 steps of Alcoholic Anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I started to open up and to get to know people and to get to know their stories. And I started to learn not only that I wasn't in this addiction thing alone, and not only there were other people who had the same experiences that 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 I was having. And not just that, we would call the things that would happen to us the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was funny that I had so much in common with people that I didn't even know, you know, especially the things that would happen when we would get high and the things that we would hear and that we would see. So I decided on my third day there actually to go ahead and give the program a try. I opened my heart to the 12 steps and it led me all the way through.
Wow. Wow. I know the first some of the steps that people have to in going through rehab and going through the process is first admitting that you are an addict. Was that hard to admit that yes, my name is Desi Isaac and I am a cocaine addict? Was that a hard process? Huh?
No, it wasn't actually. That was actually probably one of the easiest steps for me. I had no issue telling you, yes, my name is Isaac, my name is Izzy, and I'm a stone cold crackhead.
Hmm.
I like snorting cocaine and I like smoking it. You know, I'm what you call a crack connoisseur. You know, I had no issue knowing saying that I was an addict because I knew I was an addict. I felt like that was my identity. That was how my life was supposed to be. So I knew that I had an addiction. That wasn't easy. That wasn't hard at all to admit.
Right, right. You know, when you look back at all these things you've been through um, being raped, you've been through the HIV diagnosis to a point where it was almost AIDS in the last stages of the HIV. You recovered through that. The drug was your fallback. It consumed a lot part of your life. You went in and get recovered. When you speak to people, I mean, you have a novel story. You have a story that you could really tell to get people, listening and understanding the process of life. Because if it goes like this, life is not like this. It goes like ups and downs. So you've been through all the bumps and turns and pivots and all of that stuff. What is your mantra? What do you say to people? What is the main thing, the main thought, the main idea you want to get out there?
What I say to people now is, um, you can always start over. You know, I say one thing that comes out the AA Big Book, which I love, is that I used to thank God for AA. Now I thank AA for God. Um, I'm not a religious pusher and I'm not a Bible thumper, but me coming to know a higher power, a power greater than myself,
Right.
is what saved me. Me coming to know God and God affirming me and telling me that He loves me. He's happy to see the person that I am. Despite all my flaws, He still loves me. Knowing that unconditional love from my Heavenly Father is there, I just I want to change for Him. I want to live a life that's pleasing to Him.
Hmm.
And rewards come with that. If you live a life that's pleasing to God, He blesses you. He gives you fruit. He multiply you. He allows you to prosper. And That's what I want. That's what he told me he could do for me. So I just tell people, pray, talk to God. I'm not telling you this as someone who's a religious thumper, who's Bible thumping. I'm telling you this because I've been through hardships in life. I've
Mm-hmm.
been raped. I have HIV. I'm a drug addict. You know, I was an escort. You know, my parents had issues with me being great. I had trouble growing up. I'm bipolar, suffering with depression, PTSD, borderline personality. Yet God still chose me. He still chose me and he still loves me. And he wants me to come and share my story with everyone else because my story is a testimony to someone else. My mess is my message, you know? So that's just what I wanted. That's just what I say to people. You know, do you know God? If you know God and you found God, then you should know who you are as a person. If you haven't, I advise that you get there before it's too late.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Your message, your message. That's a good one. That's a good one. And as I said, it teaches people a lot. People look back and they say, look at this guy. He's been through so much stuff. He's living his life, and he's been through so much. He went into it. And it's been how long since you've been off all drugs now? You've been recovered. How long has
Um,
it been?
I am 110 days sober, you guys. So
Wow.
it hasn't been that long. It's been a little bit over 3 months. But these last 3 months of my life have been the best 3 months of my life. You know, I can't even, and no, I don't have a mansion. No, I don't have millions of dollars in the bank, but what I do have is God. I have a God conscience, and having that is more of a prize and more of a blessing than anything that any material thing that I could possibly have. God told me what He wants me to do, and I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do what they say in the program: surrender. I
Hmm.
surrender.
Yeah. And you haven't had any urge for the cocaine anymore? Oh.
No, I haven't had any urges. The last time I had an urge was I was probably about a month and a half into the rehab program, and I was just so frustrated and so angry, and I just need to get high. That's what I need to do to calm me down and to make me feel better. But that was that obsession of the mind that was kicking in, telling me that I didn't need this program, that I should just go and get high. But I sat there through it and I fought through it, and I came out on the other side. Since
Hmm.
then, I haven't had a thought. What I think about now, I think about all the people in my neighborhood that's addicted to cocaine and crack cocaine. I think about all the people who are addicted to any type of drug, and I just want to help them. I want them. I want them to get what to receive what I've been given. Now, if somebody commented um on the thing, you can't help somebody that don't want to be helped, and
Yeah.
that's true. You can't help somebody that don't want to be helped, but you won't know if that person wants to be helped if you don't try to help them. So I just want to try to help as many people as I can at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think you're on the right track with sharing your story. You do a lot of outreach. I see you post a lot also in our support group page. Want you to continue to do that. Keep sharing your story. Keep talking about it because there's so many people that they feel like they are the last wits of life. They just feel like nothing could save them, and they feel like whatever recovery they could get, they'll take it. But let them know that there is another way, and I mean, they don't have to go down the same way that you went down, and they could possibly talk to you, and you could give them some advice or some alternative things that they could do to get them to the same route without taking this path. So we're happy to have folks like you in our midst, in our circles, so we could always have folks talk to you and we could always have this conversation. So we really appreciate you. Really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. Any last word you want to give us before we close off?
I just want to say, you guys, if you need any type of help, any type of advice with addiction, HIV, or mental health, you can always feel free to call me at my business cell line. That number is 281-410-5626. Once again, that's 281-410-5626. And you can always find me on Facebook and check out my blog on medium.com.
Okay. All right. Thank you, SCB. We'll keep in touch, certainly, and see what's happening with your life going down, and we'll keep everyone updated with your progress. Thank you. Yeah, I said, man, strong brother, been through a lot, right, guys? This is what it's all about. It's all about sharing your experience, sharing your story, right? What I say, everyone has a story to tell, right? I know for the past couple of weeks we've been talking a lot about COVID-19, and although COVID-19 is devastating the world, although a lot of people lost their life, but there's other things that's happening as well. There's a lot of other things that's happening. We look outside right now, and it's a curfew. It's a lot of things that's happening. 2020 came in like a roaring lion. But there's still people that are depressed. There's still people that are being abused. There's still people that needs other assistance other than COVID-19 and even with the protests. So guys, we want to talk about it all. We want to engage about everything or try to bring everything into perspective. So if you have a story to tell, in regards to whatever your story is, we'd like to share it right here on The Ride. And join us tomorrow, myself, our guest, and my producer, talking about Dear Rider. We have a very interesting program for you tomorrow lined up. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for being a part of our program. Catch you again tomorrow. Peace out, guys. Have a great night. Good night.
Hey, did you know that the census is due this year on April 1st? And guess what? This time we can finally count as Caribbean. This year, all you have to do is 1. Check the race box, and 2. Write in your country of birth or ancestry. You can answer by the paper form, online, or by phone. Everybody counts in Census 2020. So count as Caribbean. Yes, we count.